All right, we are live. Thanks, guys, and good afternoon. This is the Smudcast number 824, a narrative critique of Batman Arkham Asylum. Oh boy, we got some people here that just love the whole series aside from the most recent ones, and that's okay. You could dislike the Arkham series, and you can forget they ever existed. That's fine. But we're gonna...
What recent ones? The series ended with Night.
Okay. All right.
There is that VR game.
That's true.
Or not.
No one knows about it, but it did exist, and the one before it, which no one wants to talk about. But that's fine. We're not here to talk about those. We're here to talk about the original, 2009, and this is from a YouTuber by the name of BludPanda, and it just came out in June of this year. Has almost 5,000 views. He's got about almost 9,000 subs, and mostly positive upvotes. So I'd say about 85%. Upvotes. So I'm not sure what to make of this because the topics for a 32-minute video cover introductions, hidden politics, modernism isms, and truth in time. Whatever that means. I couldn't tell you. So we're going to find out and hopefully not get too excited because it is a long video, 32 minutes, and I want everyone to get their opportunity to speak.
Can I just say, socialism bad. Now we got that out of the way.
Oh no!
We don't have to bring it up.
We don't have to bring up Whisp.
The German isn't in here today.
Yeah,
I think that'll come up.
There's no.
No, that's why I just thought let's just say it now.
Okay.
You know, in this first 5 minutes, and then we don't have to spend 2 to 4 working days going over the intricacies of mid-century communism.
Okay, that's a good idea. All right, guys, let's get going. I hope we're all got our audio working. And we could all watch together just fine.
Is that 32?
32. It's at, for whatever reason, I can see the thumbnail, and it's at 32:13, even though the video is 32:12. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm glad we got a thumbnail because I never could get the thumbnail to work, and now it is working. So fantastic. All right.
And it says monster.
What is that? The monster of the series, a monster of Batman, the monster of Arkham? I don't know. We don't know.
Oh,
maybe the monster was the friends we made along the way.
Oh, he's gonna hot take this video.
All right, here we go.
I know. Yet retrospective, I feel the same way. I'm not going to waste your time here with a glorified summary of Arkham Asylum like it's an audiobook or something. This is a culmination of notes, thoughts, and contentions on one of my favorite games ever. There is literally no fluff. By the end of this video, I hope something important and real will come out of this analysis in your mind. I'm also not going to pretend this video is 100% based on my own discoveries. The secret for me and many other essayists is that we find new ways of explaining an important idea that has been reciprocated by multiple sources before. We want to spread a specific combination of ideas that we feel is important to eternalize.
Okay, this is where I'm getting a little lost. He's referring to others, and they want to proliferate an idea and share it like they all are collectively sharing the same idea.
And already we're off to the point where this guy has an extremely dull voice trying to sound more interesting than he actually is.
That's good.
Nobody fucking talks like this.
I want
my
dull.
brother in Christ. Just speak.
I like the term other essayists.
Yeah.
Actually, I hate it.
Okay.
Nobody talks like this. Just talk.
All
Just
right.
say YouTuber.
Maybe he's writing a thesis for one of his university years he's in that he's got to present. So,
imagine how dull this live stream would be if everyone was talking like this.
Yeah, well, anyway, I can respect being monotone and keeping to facts, but let's see where he goes. We're not sure yet.
Truth is also the case for the other sources too. In this video, I'm going to dive into the thought process of modernism and postmodernism, as well as the social pitfalls of corporate safe art. To argue this point, I will be using the Arkham games as a subject of examination.
What does any of that even mean?
We're going to get a lecture. We're going to get an absolute lecture here.
Postmodernism? What the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah.
It just means safe, edgy?
Yeah, when you say corporate safe art within the context of these games, which are action-adventure beat-em-ups, I don't know what that implies because they're pretty violent. So...
Yeah, in fact, this game really doesn't take itself all that seriously because the whole plot is Joker just wants to cause havoc.
Yeah, it's...
we are literally going to be going through, and here is my political ideology, and here's 32 minutes of me giving you a lecture on why it's great. It's like, oh my god, not again. Not again, please, no. No, just do anything else.
And here's how dare Batman go against that.
Maybe.
How dare Batman not
Here's my
conform to
4-hour essay on
2020?
Here's my 4-hour essay on why Suicide Squad is the best Arkham game.
All right, let's keep going.
And I expected a response out of Ginga. I'm disappointed.
That's gonna happen in like 5 years. Trust me.
Yeah, probably.
That's Zaz? Who is that?
Just one of the maniacs.
Oh.
Because later in the game, they get loose and they're just running around.
He's very artistic.
Yes, very artistic indeed. He played
True crime?
I can't think of the fucking word
What
right
the
now.
fuck is this?
He used an uncommentated clip with a black and white filter over it.
What is this? Is part of the game?
Huta Sarah, A&E True Crime Blog. What are the biggest misconceptions you hear about forensic psychiatric hospitals and their patients?
That's not in the game.
Forensic and psychiatric are two very different things. A lot of people picture these places as full of crazy, dangerous people, but many of the patients are intelligent, articulate people with the same needs, desires, and fears as anyone else. Yes. But they're also fucking crazy. There's the Englishman, the other Englishman. But yes, they are Disney's. But they're also fucking crazy.
He's trying to say it's a bad. The asylum in the game is a bad representation of like asylum people.
Well, no kidding. It's based off a comic book, which is a dark, twisted version of New York. So you assume
New Jersey.
Extreme depictions of the Rogues Gallery.
There's a man who controls rats.
Yeah.
There's a giant crocodile.
Man,
you have to understand that
also
asylums are full of people who are crazy and magic and cannot even function or speak.
Well, this specifically is an asylum for the criminally insane.
Yeah.
Yes, they can be smart.
Murderers.
AKA,
the crazy guy who has a fetish for stabbing people. Sexual fetish.
The criminally insane, AKA anyone Batman puts away.
Yeah, this is not the assisted living wing of an old folks home. This is murderers and rapists and God knows what else.
And there's also a mantic nutbags.
There's a plot point that the most extreme patients were caused by Hugo Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Like that's in City. But it's still
it's implied in Asylum to build up to his role in City.
Yeah, there's there's a point repeatedly that the other inmates cause the other inmates to be
All right. Okay. Let's keep
Unless you buy into the curse of Amadeus Arkham.
Yeah, I'd argue the most extreme inmates would be Joker, Zaz, and Poison Ivy.
Okay, I've been playing the video for 10 seconds.
Freaking die.
There's no talking. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Again, that's just him incapacitating a maniac with a black and white filter. This is nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anything, he's going easy on him.
Mm-hmm. And you play the audio to him brutalizing the maniac with a black
about
screen.
to say will require a lot of context explored throughout this entire video. Batman Arkham Asylum is problematic. The game utilizes a harmful horror trope found throughout many films and games that is explicitly discriminatory towards the mentally ill.
Wait.
Here we go.
It's
We have to rewind that because he's using so many words that he just...
It's discriminatory. Discriminate against the insane, or whatever he calls
discriminatory against the mentally ill.
Okay.
That's not how that works. I'm pretty sure in the DC comics there's mental institutions for people who aren't crazy psychopathic murderers with a sexual desire of stabbing people.
There's the
regular
prison.
Bell Rev and Blackgate have Arkham wings specifically for the normal criminals of the city.
Yeah, Blackgate is the normal prison.
Yeah, and then you have Bell Rev for metahumans.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that this is all.
I thought it was
that-
pronounced Belrive.
No, it is Belrev. It's like so so they have all this shit like established already for all this, like the normal criminals, then the metahumans, and then
the crazy people.
and then the crazy people with Arkham. Yeah. So it's like they've like, and this is after years upon years of Batman being a thing in the city.
Well, the issue I see is this is what the story is supposed to be about. You can call it problematic, you can call it uncomfortable. That's kind of the point of having all of these crazies together. So
it's supposed to be dark and unsettling.
Making a video game.
He's also mentioned that the horror aspect is unsettling. It's like, yes, that's why it's horror.
Horror. This
tends
horror,
to be the.
It has horror elements. This horror game has. Well, I don't know if I
The
would call
place
Batman
that
a horror
houses
game, but
Scarecrow has horror elements.
There's people here.
yes,
whose
the
minds
floor
are
is made out of
broken.
floor.
Oh, the horror thing's making me wee the bed. Oh, I don't like it.
And also, it's also a little something called A Serious House on Serious Earth, which Arkham took direct inspiration from.
It took inspiration from like mainly 2 comics. Yeah.
The bulk of Arkham Asylum is A Serious House on Serious Earth.
Yeah.
One of the few good things Grant Morrison wrote.
Oh, Grant Morrison.
But again,
Yeah, but it's still like, again, one of the few good things he's written.
Yeah.
And for good reason.
What's that expression about a stopped clock? You don't want to set your watch by it.
Or be on drugs half the time. That's also a good idea.
Yeah.
Drugs are bad. Okay.
I mean, we've said
but
like,
again, this place is filled with people whose minds are broken. Of course, it's fucking scary.
It has
Well,
a giant
Yeah, well, then
crocodile
again,
man.
then again,
and a
I wonder
plant
how many.
lady.
I wonder how many of them are on antipsychotics. Hopefully, all of them.
at least anyone in the isolation chamber.
Oh,
It even houses Mr. Freeze.
okay.
It
It's
used to, but he got out on good behavior, I think.
Yeah, I think he was
Well,
moved to Bel. I think in the comics he was moved to Bel Rev because he's not insane. He's
Yeah, I
just
think-
very, very depressed.
Well, within
Alright.
the context of Arkham, he was just let out on good behavior.
All right, guys.
Within the context of this game.
Let us continue.
Because
This,
even when he's in Arkham City, he's
Guys.
just kind of doing
Yeah,
his own
let's-
thing.
we gotta
Let's
keep
move
going
on.
here. Okay, let's go.
is problematic. The game utilizes a harmful horror trope found throughout many films and games that is explicitly discriminatory towards the mentally ill and
Oh,
disabled.
Jesus Christ.
Its depiction of mental hospitals and the treatment of those living within them, a serious real-world topic with a horrific history, is used as a backdrop primarily for aesthetic purposes, simply to convince the player that they are within a gritty, aging environment.
That's why they make good horror elements.
Let me say that everything he just said is literally the entire point of Arkham Asylum.
And that's why asylums
all
are
buildings
always
are
are
scary.
so. That's why asylums make such good horror settings because they're fucking creepy.
It's like this is what he just said is literally the entire reason why Arkham Asylum exists in the DC universe as exactly that.
Wasn't Arkham taken from H.P. Lovecraft stuff?
Yeah.
Possible.
Lovecraft created the Arkham Sanitarium, which then DC picked up on and made it the Asylum.
So, ghost
Like,
stories are usually set within really old buildings because, well,
The-
people generally have died in old buildings.
So
They
Arkham
don't-
Asylum,
They don't generally set them in new builds.
and to make clear, Arkham Asylum, the institution, is going off the influence. It is quite literally Lovecraftian. Aside from any godlike creature that the Justice League might encounter, it's like the Asylum is Lovecraftian by design.
That's where the whole curse of Amadeus Arkham comes in. That the asylum
Yeah.
itself drives people insane.
Especially the Warden, as we see in this game with Quincy Sharp, the Chronicles of Arkham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's
that's
like
that's why they make. But he's bitching about it being so discriminatory. That's the point.
that's the point of the
Yes,
Asylum.
Asylums did bad things. They did twisted things in the 40s and 50s and however far back you want to go. That's why they make good horror settings. Because
Yes.
they're creepy, they're uncomfortable, they're unsettling.
Yeah, and Arkham specifically is all of this by design.
You know when I said earlier that this is going to be a massive political lecture? I think I was correct.
I mean, you can get it in the title. The narrative Okay, there's a big red flag. Critique, big red flag, of Batman Arkham Asylum. Just a big red flag with those two words.
Every word he's used so far is the exact same things you'd hear from a university lecturer who's just going on and on and on about his political ideology. At the end of the day, the
I think I'm
reason
in the
why...
wrong room. Isn't this supposed to be calculus?
Yeah. Well, what I'm trying to say is they've got a setting with an atmosphere, right? Okay. It's in a fictional world, or comics and everything. And he's like, well, that's problematic. Why? Why is it problematic? Because a fictional place is designed this way. It's not real life. So what does it matter? You can do whatever you want in fiction.
Yeah, like the giant crocodile man.
And there's justifications within the setting that it's not just, hey, we're of why things are that way. It's not just, hey, we're doing this because real life people are. Yeah.
Want to make a bet, right, and see who can get closest to the timestamp where it starts saying that capitalism needs to be taken down.
Here's an idea. Let's play a drinking game. Every time he says something stupid, take a shot.
Oh, that's
no. We're not going to die by minute 10.
No, not that far. No.
All right, let's keep going.
Again,
hold on. What were the segments again?
One of the segments was called modernisms, I think.
So I'm going to guess right about then is when he's going to start going full on communist.
That's at 14,
that's what I think it's going to do.
1448. So we got a lot.
Yeah, so 1448.
1448.
Yeah.
Oh,
plenty to go to there.
God.
Let's go.
Of a rotting, outdated asylum that mistreats its patients is an entirely fitting topic in Gotham City, a setting that acts as a parody of humankind's worst mistakes and weaknesses. The game still fails to carefully craft a meaningful response to the horrors of Arkham, in a sense condoning the environments and actions depicted in the game through the narrative silence.
Sure
the
Batman
problematic
is the
nature
response.
of this rated teen game must be considered if we are going to look at this game as a serious work of art in an extremely
Okay, I don't know what he means by work of art or a serious one, because this is a game designed for people who like the setting, the universe, the Batman mythos.
That however long segment of a clip we just played, he said a whole lot of words that don't fucking mean anything.
Right, he's literally complaining that the plot of the game is too interested in Batman stopping the Joker and not interested in the socio-economic and political ways of solving mental asylums.
Okay, that could be a very that should be a very different story then. That's not relevant to the story. Like you can make an interesting story about that. Like have it where there's a new warden at Arkham who's a corrupt, crooked piece of shit who's crazy himself, and Batman has to put a stop to it.
Batman
in
the New Adventures of Batman, where there was where the new warden was an abusive sack of shit who put electrodes on the fucking doors.
No, that's not even his point. What his point here is because Batman doesn't stop and say, "This is a really outdated aesthetic of this asylum. I should get some decorators in here and spruce it up." Because that wasn't the main plot of the game. Yeah. That's encouraging and celebrating the treatment that asylums in the real world did.
Yeah, this is no different than
that's his argument.
Than Anita Sarkeesian arguing about why isn't the female in charge? Why aren't we dealing with her issues, even though they're not a main character? And whatever Zelda game you choose anyone, it's the same nonsense of I saw this element. Why isn't it the focus? And you're like, that's not the point of any of the design or the gameplay.
Call me crazy, but when I'm playing a Zelda game, I don't need to hear the inner complex stories of the cute little tomboy who runs the fishing hole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Growing medium. The point I've just laid out there was a careful simplification of a video essay by Micah Edmonds called
"Ow, my ears."
That was a simplification.
Is he just going to be repeating what other people have said?
Wait, what does X infer?
Oh, it means freeing yourself from something.
But he simplified that.
Yeah.
He's saying he simplified that. Even though it was just a bunch of word salad that none of us understood.
I don't even think he fully understood it.
I fully understood it. It's just stupid.
He's very upset Batman didn't write a letter to the manager of Arkham complaining about stuff.
Again, that's a potentially great story for a different game.
Yeah, it's what he's
There's
referring.
no will.
In fact, we've had that story told before in the animated series or New Adventures of Batman, one of the two, where there's a crooked warden of Arkham who likes to torture and abuse his patients.
Referencing a 3.5-hour video from another YouTuber, Micah Edmonds, called "Arkham Asylum is Over."
Yeah, it's like the idea that this is hell and you have to remove yourself from hell or whatever you consider bad, or it's fine. It's just a fine Latin term that it doesn't really.
Also ignoring the context that in the Arkhamverse and in the comics in general, Batman has spent billions of dollars to update the infrastructure and treatment of the Arkham patients. He does believe in rehabilitation.
Not just Bruce, but the Wayne family in general. There's a plaque. I remember there's a plaque in the medical facility that has Bruce's name on it, and there's one in the botanical gardens that has Thomas and Martha Wayne on it.
Like the Waynes have spent God knows how much money in the updating of all the equipment and procedures of Arkham Asylum.
Yes.
So he's completely ignoring that.
I mean, at this point, Bruce is single-handedly funding all of Gotham.
Basically.
Essentially, yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
Uploaded on February 16th, 2022. This was the first time I've personally seen anyone critique the Arkham games as a serious work in the video game medium, a critique you would only often find in film analyses. Game critiques exist, there are thousands and thousands of them out there, but what you'll often find is they take a very shallow look at the game. I am of course extremely guilty of this. I've taken my fair share of shallow looks at Batman media simply because of my bias. You can tell the difference in my approach towards critiques for certain works. I'm extremely harsh in my criticisms towards The Dark Knight, for example, because my knowledge of the many less realistic depictions of Batman shows me how much more you can do with the character in comparison. Similarly, my critiques of Batman Arkham Knight were far deeper in philosophy for both game design and narrative, because the game came out in a time where my childhood nostalgia was fading away and I was consistently disappointed by my favorite properties. Micah Edmonds' video revealed to me that our biases are far stronger than you might think. That we all have these biases, no matter how quote-unquote open-minded you believe you are. Before I continue on, if these types of videos are something you enjoy, meaningful analysis of art or the process of creating it, consider subscribing to both this channel and my second channel where I cover broader topics beyond Detective Comics. This channel, of course, will have similarly styled content, but it is specifically geared towards Batman-related stuff. I really need your help getting to 1,000 subscribers on my second channel because I cannot monetize any of my content there until I have that number. I highly recommend watching my analysis of Andor or the Fallout show.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Oh, heaven help me.
Let's get into this.
In Batman Arkham Knight,
that's
one
why
of the
God
more
created
interesting...
whiskey.
All right.
Let's go. Let's just get into this.
Lay it
Let's
on
get
me.
over with.
Is focused on the conception of Founders Island. Level design has always been very interesting to me. It is one of my favorite things to discuss. The best level design is not just visually appealing or facilitates pleasing movement, but it is also a solid narrative foundation. Batman Arkham Asylum's many environments aren't just aesthetically rich, but there's a lot of implied history behind it. Even in Arkham City, the level design often reflected the broader concept of the game. This is a game about a city neighborhood turned prison, and so a lot of the environment is showcasing how this has impacted different parts of the city. Arkham Knight has the weakest level design concept of all of the games. It's literally just Gotham downtown. A location even less interesting once the citizens of Gotham are removed from the picture. Maybe this is why they needed a founder, something to add a little bit of variety to the game. The narrative reason behind Founder's inclusion isn't really clear. The only theme I can really pull from it is the idea of Gotham's future, a common phrase found on Founders Island adverts. But in the actual story, the only meaningful thing said about Gotham's future is that Batman won't exist anymore. When you look deeper
Well, that's
into
the
the
theme of Knight's
concept,
story.
Founders either proves
Yeah, that's
itself
the-
nonsensical or makes Bruce Wayne out to be a problematic figure, which is conflicting with the heroism the game consistently implies. Bruce Wayne's Wayne Foundation is publicly endorsing and funding the demolition of Founders Island to create a gentrified, corporate-oriented district. Many signs throughout the island hint at civilian resistance against the destruction of historic districts. This corporate capitalistic decision is going to...
Oh God, there it
Oh,
is.
6 minutes. I lost.
Is he even gentrifying
What does this have to
Arkham
do
or
with
Gotham?
Asylum?
Or no, this has nothing to do with Asylum. He's talking about Arkham Knight at this point. What? Stay on topic.
We missed the actual modernism segment.
Yeah. Would he be happier if Bruce gave the money to the local government and then they spent the money to gentrify this other place? Like, what's the problem here?
I hate gentrification so much. Cities were so much better when they were old, run down, didn't have any businesses to go to.
There's many Batman stories about how Bruce takes like issue with like removing certain monuments, like bulldozing a block. Like there's a Batman Beyond episode about him trying to stop the the old theater he used to go to from being bulldozed.
No, but the reason for that was specifically because that was where Crime Alley, which is the location that defined him.
But yeah,
that's also the last happy memory he had with his parents was going to watch Zorro.
It's like tons of Batman media have like subplots of Bruce being focused on the investment of Gotham in some way.
So what he's talking about is a lot of bullshit. Like that is not in anywhere in Arkham Knight's story, and it's not even relevant to the topic at hand of Arkham Asylum, the first game of the franchise.
But again, that's still like stuff like that in the environment that still serves the story, right? Because Knight's all about like what Batman's going to do, his legacy, the future of Gotham.
So
Like-
he's complaining that apparently Bruce doesn't do enough to improve the city, but then he points out that Bruce is actually paying to improve the city
Yeah.
by gentrifying it, making it better.
Yeah, that's like
Nice.
makes the joke in Family Guy. I can't believe how gentrified this. Yeah, this place was so much better when it was old and sucked.
Yeah, but guys, you're forgetting one key detail, is the fact that he's done it in a capitalist style. If he had just led a bloody communist revolution, it'd be perfectly fine. He could do whatever he wanted. He could
If only
bulldoze
Bruce-
anything.
yeah. If only Bruce gave that rant he does in Gotham Knights at the end about you greedy like capitalist.
If only Bruce dressed up as Che Guevara instead of Batman and just like gunned down innocent people, it'd be all right.
Okay.
I always said the one thing preventing communism is the existence of life.
Okay. All right.
That's literally it.
Let's keep going.
Force thousands out of their homes and businesses. Also that Gotham can have a new super mall. At the same time, Wayne Foundation is spearheading the restoration of Arkham City.
Wait.
Bruce Wayne campaigned against the construction of the prison because it would be destroying a historical district.
He's not restoring Arkham City. He's
Restoring
restoring Gotham. He's restoring the city infrastructure. You fucking moron!
He was also against that because Hugo Strange was like in charge of that. And
He
was-
literally, in Arkham City, he literally gets arrested by Hugo Strange by speaking out against Arkham City. What the hell are you talking about?
Just
Did you
just a
even
heads
play
up.
the games?
Just a heads up. We're almost a third of the way through the video, and so far the only thing about Arkham Asylum is
Old and scary and bad.
It's old, scary.
It's
and
discriminatory.
Silently, hitting crazy people. Anyway, now onto capitalism in Arkham Knight. Okay.
No,
It's old and
You
scary.
have a point.
and it's got crazy
Make
people
it.
in
District of Gotham. The company is also simultaneously renovating Old Panessa Studios, a front for Batman's secret base. So, like, which is it, Bruce Wayne? Do you hate poor people in historical neighborhoods, or are you using them for, like, public reputation points?
I mean,
What
you-
the fuck?
is he gonna make the point that he beats him up all the time too?
Oh, do you hate poor people? Yes, Bruce Wayne dresses up as a bat and fights crime because he hates poor people. Wow, what a wonderful fucking point.
So
Wow. Bruce Wayne spends billions of dollars rebuilding Gotham. Oh no, he's knocking down Founders Island. Yeah, it's a slum. Okay, but he's knocking down that. Yeah, he's going to rebuild it for new stuff. Oh, he's bad. Oh my god.
And in Arkham Knight, he's actually pretty angry about the Gotham Superstore. Like, he actually has a line where he speaks with it with resentment in his tone.
Isn't his speech in City talking about how the creation of Arkham City would be bad for
that's when he gets arrested.
The regular people of Gotham, and that they were taking places poor people live, and they were turning it into a prison for super criminals.
That he was arrested when speaking out against that. And the whole restoration of Arkham City is the restoration of the part of Gotham that was turned into a supermax prison
of old Gotham.
Right.
So he's a billionaire. He beats up poor people, and he votes Democrat. But he works with the police and doesn't like to see people live in squalor.
Oh, you forgot capitalism.
So those last two are unforgivable. The other three they like, but the last two they don't.
All right.
Wayne Foundation sounds like a deeply confused, problematic corporation.
Shut up.
A corporation that owns huge swaths of the city. This is the
not a
company our main
corporation, it's a
character is
charity
running. Without
foundation.
any substantial narrative beats on this topic, I can only assume Bruce Wayne supports this activity. In fact, the company funds his many militaristic, highly illegal toys in secret. Now look,
Yes,
this
he's a
conflict
vigilante.
I have pointed out, seemingly caused by Rocksteady's negligence, actually sounds like a really cool plot point, yet the game never does anything with it. Rocksteady had a chance to create a narrative arc about gentrification and
Militarized.
To say that the one of the issues is they don't bring up the politics of gentrification in a game about Batman.
Nothing he said was a plot point.
Also, most of that,
Everything is the plot points are contradictory to what you just said.
Most of those details are just references to the comics and like some of the stuff in the shows.
Can we all just
the comics
understand here?
The comics have got these things up, but
no, this guy wants a Batman game to be like a Senate hearing. That's it. Where it's just like
I'm actually very angry at this.
He wants it to be
Don't
like
get angry at it. Just laugh at it, because it's just his issue so far is Batman didn't write a strongly worded letter in Arkham Asylum complaining about the decor of the asylum, and then number two, he's annoyed that there wasn't a government meeting about the gentrification of Gotham in which Batman must appear in front of a court in a suit and tie and explain why he supports the destruction.
I'm pretty sure there's a Silver Age comic where he shows up in a suit and tie, still wearing the bat cowl in court.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a Silver Age comic about that.
I want a Batman game where I lead the picket line with a sign and costume.
Yeah.
There's also the complaint about him using militarized technology. So one of his supervillains is a guy in power armor with a freeze ray.
In that game.
And by the way, in Arkham Knight, he's fighting a fucking mercenary group.
Another villain is a mercenary who's built like a walking flash tank, Bane, and another villain is a massive half crocodile person.
Yeah, there's a 12-foot tall crocodile man.
There's a woman who can control all plant life as well.
Yeah.
And have I mentioned there's literally a guy supplying a fucking illegal private military corporation laying siege to Gotham.
You just complain about Batman doing illegal things when he's a vigilante.
And this is all Batman stuff. That's not even beginning to scratch the surface of what Lex does.
Yeah, but also there's also a guy who's changed himself into a giant bat.
Oh yeah, that's in Arkham Knight, by the way.
Yeah, that's in Arkham Knight as well.
Wisp says we need a Gotham City manager game.
It's not even a Gotham City manager game. It is just literally he wants a game where you're literally the woman taking the minutes of the Gotham City council meeting.
You know those scenes in the Nolan trilogy where he's at the stock meetings and I want to be Bruce, just betting
There
on
is a 911 simulator.
Oh my god!
I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but
Could you
literally
imagine
everything he
again?
just said
Worst
is
idea.
contradictory to the subplots of Arkham.
Let's just
No,
go. Can we just go till it gets back to Asylum?
Well, the fact that he brought up Batman doing illegal things, it's like, yeah, he's Batman. That's the kind of
and
part of what he does.
it's not really illegal to funnel that capital into his Batman stuff. That's just what he That's just what he does with his money.
Yeah, it's like we
It's
say.
not illegal to spend his money that way, but it is illegal for him to.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's
do
fine.
the
But
things he does with
that's
it.
kind of the point of Batman. He does things which are above the law, so that the guys, like the actual police who are the law, can't deal with the actual criminals who are also doing really nasty stuff. So you need someone kind of on the level. The difference is Batman's so much better. He doesn't kill anyone with all his gadgets and all his toys and all his equipment. So you're like, yeah, you're right. It is militaristic, but he doesn't kill. And he's so much better, and no one else is doing it, that this is what Gotham needs. I can't think of unless you want to equip an entire police force and legalize non-lethal, I don't know, weapons or gas or I don't know, whatever they would do to stop these guys en masse. It would just be crazy. You'd have
What if Batman
Enforce
gave
martial
every
law.
cop-
yeah, it would be something on the scale of bringing in the military everywhere. So no, this is probably the best way to do it, or at least the most efficient from his perspective. And he's not going to start revealing himself to the police force anyway. So
And for the most part, it's worked out for him.
What if he gave every cop their own grapple?
oh yeah, that worked wonderfully.
I'm just imagining this guy going, yeah, he does. Batman does loads of illegal stuff, and also he dresses up as a bat. That's really weird. It's like, yeah,
It's
those are the
almost
two things he
it's almost
does.
like Batman is an emotionally disturbed man or something.
He will do anything if it means protecting the city and the people. Like, as much as we rag on the back credit card from Batman and Robin, that's like, he's not above doing that in the main continuity. It's just that he doesn't.
Like, it's called he actually kind of does. He has a funnel account.
Like, he has shell companies, and he's not above credit card fraud either.
I want Harvey Bullock to get his own grapple gun and see how far he can stop.
So, like,
criminals.
a lot of people forget, it's like, as Bruce Wayne, he is also one of the most efficient businessmen on the planet.
I'm now wondering whether like a complaint he'll have is the use of illegal Mexican migrants to build the Batcave or something. So
Why did Bruce outsource the Batcave?
Yeah, he made illegal tunnels to Mexico, and they came all the way to Gotham just to proliferate.
Bruce, even though they only speak Mexican, they're still talking to people. You cannot keep this a secret. There's like 100 guys here.
That's a Family Guy joke. But I told him it was for an excavation company. Batman, you had them build a Lazy Susan for your nuclear-powered car.
The tunnels thing, they actually do kind of do a little bit of a backhanded joke about in one of the Lego DC things, where it's like, where it's like Batman considers making a tunnel directly between Metropolis and Gotham.
Bruce, there's a river.
Underground.
Yeah, there's kind of a river in between Gotham and Metropolis.
No. There's a very small lake between the two cities.
Yes.
Very
I
small.
thought they were divided by a river.
All right, let's keep going.
No, they're divided by hundreds of miles.
Of big corporations could have commented on the ethics of Gotham's egomaniac savior being a privileged billionaire. The setup for Hush in Arkham City could have been a perfect way to induce these themes in Arkham Knight. Hush could have utilized Bruce's hypocrisies against him.
Hush is Thomas Elliot.
Maniacal
Hold on.
psychopath.
No, hold on.
Hush is the thing he described Bruce as.
Yeah, no, Hush is Thomas Elliot,
is a psychopath.
Yeah.
who's also a rich surgeon.
Who murdered
Who's a millionaire.
his own family. Who murdered his own family for those riches.
He got upset at Bruce because he stopped him from killing his parents.
Okay, let's keep it to Arkham. In the Arkham universe, Thomas Elliott's parents, they were not going to give him the inheritance he wanted, so he decided try to kill them both. His mom survived. The reason why he's mad at Bruce and the city
his dad saved them.
is because Thomas Wayne saved Elliot's mom and stopped the inheritance from going to him.
That's why he wants to carve people's faces off and then graft them onto his own to look like Bruce Wayne to steal his money.
The entire reason for the fallout between Thomas and Bruce, between Elliot and Bruce, was because of Thomas Wayne saving his mom after the crash.
Thomas Elliot is a psychopath.
This is just, again, he wants the whole game to be focused on this specific thing when the plot has much higher priorities.
When none of the game, when all four of the games have higher priorities than that.
Guys, he just wants like all these SES. No. This guy just wants this game, like every other SES we come across, to be completely filled with his political ideology to the point where it is you could just literally just put a bloke in a white room and speak off propaganda for 6 hours. It is always the same. He's annoyed that this game isn't going, you know, communism's really good. You should all be communists. Don't listen
Batman
to
should be a
capitalists.
communist.
Yeah, that's literally it.
Well, how dare Batman fight the communists? Why is my game not about Batman?
Okay, let's see. And normally I would have reservations about killing people. It's a good thing communists aren't people.
Well, people
Or that was from the 40s comics.
People talking about Hush. Hush is the character nobody wants to use, unfortunately. Nobody wants to do anything with him.
Like, the closest thing we got to a Hush movie is when they made the Riddler Hush. And, yeah, I like Batman Hush, but come on.
It's sad that the Arkham games are still the closest you're going to get to an adaptation of Hush. It's really, it's
sad.
It's like I said, I like the movie Batman Hush. It's a good movie. I like how it really shows Batman's compulsion. But it should have been Thomas Elliot.
Hush is one of the few things in Arkham Knight that literally everyone agrees was wasted.
Because in City, he was like the most praised side mission.
It was built up in City.
He was carving people's faces off and grafting it onto his own.
It was being built up in City to be resolved in Night, and then in Night they waste him completely over Arkham.
Replacing his own face with other inmates to look like Bruce Wayne.
And he's got a cool trench jacket thing, and in the comics he's built up as being just as smart as Batman, and nobody wants to use him for anything. That's
even smarter than Bane, and Bane figured out Batman's identity.
He's got a unique gimmick of being like a DC chameleon, but even then they made characters that just replaced that.
All right. Let's keep going.
Yep.
A narrative disconnected from reality about an incoherent Joker virus, a resurrected Robin we never heard about with a name that makes no sense, a main villain with conflicting plans and a weak motivation to destroy Gotham, and a semi-interesting dynamic between Batman and his hallucinated version of
he's
Joker.
The fucking Scarecrow.
It's clear,
he just likes to
especially in the first Arkham game, that the majority of Rocksteady's staff either don't engage with or don't know about the real-life implications and inspirations underlying these games. Maybe this is because they believe these Batman games are inconsequential, that Batman is a fantastical comic book character that isn't really meant to be taken this seriously. That these stories are simply for fun entertainment, just completely apolitical. Yet,
that's the point. Yeah,
I can't believe Rocksteady would do that.
Yes, they are.
Incredible.
Yeah,
why would they do that?
That's just kind of what Arkham is supposed to be. That's what comics are supposed to be. Mindless entertainment.
That's what a game is supposed to be.
So Batman is either
lectures again.
So Batman is either a magical billionaire who's capable of fighting gods, or a detective who's the world's greatest detective. So yeah, it does have some fantastical elements.
He's describing Bruce Wayne as being like so evil capitalist. Why do you want him to be the Batman?
Why do you want Bruce to be like Lex?
This is you have to remember, Batman is the guy that got into a fist fight with fucking Darkseid.
And won.
Yeah, and won.
Wait, where did he win?
He distracts him long enough to suck him into a vortex.
I love comics.
And then there's the Superman Batman Apocalypse, where it's like Bruce has the balls to activate all of the hell spores
I like the fact that
Just to
Darkseid
piss off
didn't even
Darkseid.
think. Yeah, I like the fact Darkseid didn't even consider him a threat. Didn't even turn to look at him until
That
he
is-
told him the arming codes.
Yes. The arming codes for his own weapon that only he knew, and Batman brute forced it.
Like
Just
he
to
just
prove that he could.
Darkseid's like he's talking to him, but he won't even turn to address him until he hears the arming algorithm.
Yes.
One Hellspore can turn a planet into a fire pit. What'll happen to Apocalypse when 500 go off?
I mean, you
Yeah,
can
he
talk about,
activated. He didn't just activate a few. He activated them all. That's how serious he was.
you can
And he
argue
was
either
willing
way
to
has a
destroy
message.
Apocalypse and everyone on it to stop Darkseid.
Stop Sarkaside and save Kara.
Darkseid had him by the throat and was holding him
Yeah,
out of
because
the window, wasn't
He
he?
Well, that's
smashed him
yeah.
through a wall. Yeah.
And
Smash him
basically
through the
tells him,
window.
do it, pussy.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, that's not going to stop the Hellspores unless you release Kara Zor-El.
It's not even getting into a lot of the Arkham games, just to put stuff from the show.
And also the fact that he didn't even do that for himself. He did that for Clark. The Hellspores thing, he did that exclusively for Clark, not even for himself.
Like, when it comes to Batman's no-kill rule, Darkseid's like the one fucking exception.
The problem is that the one time they actually did it, it wasn't built up,
Mm-hmm.
which was Final Crisis. But that's a whole other discussion.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I can't entirely believe that because
So it kind of was built up. It's just Final Crisis.
No, it wasn't.
Final Crisis's plot was kind of all over the place.
It wasn't built up at all. Batman
He
had
just
it
pulls
barely-
out a gun and shoots him.
All right.
in the main story. Just to say this, to clear it up. And then we can go. In the main book, there was nothing. Just that he was captured and he was going to confront Darkseid. He had barely anything in the tie-ins.
They kept building up the bullet and the gun.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Magic bullet.
but not in relation to Batman.
Yeah.
it really should have been
Like
they could
I
have built
said,
it up
the
where he was the
storyboards
one that
all over
developed
the
the
place.
bullet
All
and
right.
had
Problem-
the gun to
All
fire
right,
it.
guys. Thank you for the context. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
puts in a sign depicting anti-gentrification protests.
What?
Some writer constructs a backstory exposing the barbarity of electroshock therapy. Another writes about the manipulation of a desperate father trying to please his daughter diagnosed with cancer.
That's just
Most
to show
damning,
that Joker is
someone
evil.
brought up a story about a warden's ego being suffocated into insanity by the mentally insane due to the murder of his own family. Arkham Asylum
and he
directly
fucking
discusses
lynched the guy who did it too.
This is fine. This is just little bits of lore that are nice to color the world. That's fine.
But yeah, and it also,
Oh,
like
but-
Amadeus Arkham, the whole Amadeus Arkham thing actually plays into the fact that this plot of Asylum is about Joker trying to make Batman crazy.
And there's the fact that the place is probably cursed that drives its residents crazy.
The thing is, as well, these are nice little things to listen to at the side. They can't keep you, entertained for 20 hours.
Yeah, this is just for additional context.
Yeah, no offense, but if you're
World
playing,
building.
if you play the Batman game and the entire story is a doctor explaining that his daughter died of cancer, you're like that. Okay, what do I do? No, you just sit there and listen to him tell you every excruciating
This would be a
detail.
better of a 5-minute short on HBO Max where it's just about the doctors of Arkham Asylum
Yeah, but
struggling with
He's
this.
not arguing for it. He's just describing what he's seeing. That's fine. And if you like it, if you don't, that's up to you. You could skip it. It doesn't affect anything. That's okay.
Yeah,
I think
but
he's-
what I'm saying is the way he's been talking about it is, this would have been a better story. It's like his idea of how to make this better is literally the most mind-numbingly boring thing you can imagine.
Yeah, but it's pretentious, so...
Yeah, he doesn't want the Batman stopping Joker. He wants Batman sat at home doing his tax report, then going, Dear Gotham City Council, I was perusing around Arkham Asylum one day and I realized that the decor was out of place. It may seem problematic. Please change. Sincerely, Batman. P.S. I am not Bruce Wayne.
Well, he's also like bringing up these details about the story about the girl with cancer as if there's hidden politics when it's just a detail to show how evil Joker is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's hidden politics because only evil people get cancer.
Like that whole sign about, like he talked about the gentrification sign. That's not there for politics. That's there because the theme of Night is about the future of Gotham and about legacy and stuff like that.
What a weird video.
All right.
Weird is an understatement.
Genocide of the mentally ill. Arkham City directly discusses the genocide of criminals. Rocksteady, what are these
Genocide
games about?
of
If you are a true fan, you are rewarded with
mass
some
murder is not genocide.
I was gonna say, what are these games about?
Oh, Batman and Joker.
A Batman versus Joker. That's all.
Peace out for a second. I'm gonna mute. I gotta help my father with something.
All right, go ahead. I was gonna say, it's like, if you want to distill this whole thing down to the simplest phrase possible, these games are just Batman versus Joker for the billionth time. That's it.
When does the genocide of insane people happen?
Criminally insane.
When does it happen?
Because Batman is beating them up in Asylum. That's
So when does the genocide happen? Or does genocide mean something different these days?
Yeah,
the guy that never kills is going to genocide them.
The entire
Apparently,
existence.
When people like Victor Zsasz get the chair, apparently.
Yeah, well, the entire creation of Arkham is as a result of Batman not killing. And now you have to learn how to deal with integrating these people back into society. Is that even possible? Batman's eternally hopeful on that idea. And that's why he has to play warden sometimes and go around and clean the place up because it's not working. The systems aren't in place to do that. Or the people are just not being adapted to society, and they probably will never be. But he still believes in that hope. And that's the beauty of it, even though it's dark and mysterious and creepy and deadly and all those other horror elements. So it's great.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing that I have to live with this, world I created when I could have been a much more horrible person and just eliminated all these people. He can still do it. He can still pick up a gun right now and just go around to every cell and blow people away and forget this ever happened. But he doesn't do it. And that's kind of the hell he's created, or at least
there's tons of Batman stories that talk about that specifically. If he wants to.
Yeah.
If you talk about the genocide as like Protocol 10 from Arkham City.
Oh yeah, no, that's the. Did he actually say genocide? It sounded like he censored.
Let's rewind.
It's a genocide.
Arkham City directly discusses the genocide of criminals.
Yep.
Rocksteady, what are these games about?
Fucking prick.
Did he?
Yeah, so you talk about genocide. Like, someone put Protocol 10 from Arkham City is quite clearly seen as a bad thing that Batman stops.
Yeah, that's the only Ra's al Ghul's thing, is to just kill everybody.
Ra's and Strange. It's like, and again, it's like, and Arkham City shows that just Batman in general is so adamant about his no-kill code, about the no-kill code, to the point where he is openly willing to save the Joker, and does on multiple occasions throughout the entire series. Specifically in Origins, where that's where the relationship between the two is actually formed. That was the moment. Like after the Gotham Royal Hotel section, after the fight with Bane, where Joker gets thrown off the roof because of a rocket Bane launches at him, and Batman saves him right after. That was the moment, because Batman chose to save Joker despite everything he had done up to that point. And beyond.
You got mainly positive, like likes and everything.
And the likes, yeah.
All right. Well, I want to keep going because we're not even an hour done, and we're only 10 minutes, not even a third done. So I want to speed this up. Hopefully we get to the...
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. It's just you listen. I'm just listening to what this guy's saying. It's like, okay, he's quite clearly just another political ideologue that's annoyed that a game isn't following his politics.
Or whatever he wants to see, whatever. I don't even think it's politically motivated. I think he just wants to see what he wants to see at this point. So yeah. Okay.
If you are a true fan, you are rewarded with some intriguing stories with themes that have real-life implications, yet you are still subjected to the primary content sold to the normal audience. Content that is significantly safer and as a consequence ends up incriminating itself. Batman Arkham Asylum specifically depicts some serious elements that leads to its problematic nature. It depicts a mental hospital in the modern age that contains structural features outdated by over 100 years. This is on top of the facility being greatly unsanitized and infested with pests, likely for many years now. It depicts absurd and outdated medical practices that in the best case scenario would result in the closure of the facility and in the worst case result in dozens of criminal trials of the doctors and staff working there. It depicts prison-like containment practices, many of which involve electrocution, which can cause permanent damage. It depicts...
Those are supposed to incapacitate them.
My god.
And all of this is done to this day.
This guy can't comprehend what's fantasy, what's fiction, and what's reality. Everything must be exactly like real life today. Nothing can be fictional.
So he's saying, where are the court
Dr.
cases?
Young? So Dr. Young is one of the doctors that's performing illegal experiments.
Yeah.
I think it's Dr.
Yeah,
Dr. Young,
it's Dr. Young with the Titan. Project Titan.
And
That's
so
supposed to
she
be hidden. That's supposed to be a secret.
she's trying to hide it from Batman, and that's why she ends up getting killed, because she's trying to hide the evidence, and
Because she's trying to hide the evidence, and at a point where she decides to actively help Batman after a certain point in the whole scheme, because she initially didn't realize that she was working with Joker.
You know, this guy would really hate what's going on in El Salvador right now with the inmates of all the prisons.
She's not the only doctor that's performing illegal experiments on the inmates. There's several doctors that are doing shady shit, and they're scared because Batman's around and they know that Batman's going to sniff something out.
There's also...
And also Quincy Sharp, who is the only reason why he's warden of the asylum is just as a ploy to become mayor.
Also, in Quincy Sharp's backstory, he personally performed a lobotomy on Dr. Harleen Quinzel while she was still a doctor.
I missed that.
Yeah,
I didn't know
which
that.
Arkham Origins does not contradict, by the way.
Wait, it's canon that Harley got lobotomized?
Yes.
Yes.
And isn't that one of the Chronicles of Arkham?
Yeah.
One of the later ones, I would say, because that's when it becomes more obvious it's when it becomes obvious that the spirit of Arkham is still around until present day.
He was talking about the Joker, and I think he implied the Batman came as well, and she had been seeing him, getting close to him.
He's talking about how, why aren't there court cases messing with the asylum?
Right.
Like, it's in Gotham City, the most corrupt place on Earth.
And he says something like, I need to do something. Perhaps a lobotomy. Yes. So, yeah, it goes through every level. There's corruption at every level in the asylum. And the other thing, it's actually a nitpick. Electrocution is a way to die. What the floor's supposed to do is to electrify. So that's just a minor nitpick.
In the game, it's acknowledged that those electrocuting floors are actually meant to safely incapacitate the inmates.
To just knock them out.
That's a safety security.
Also,
thing.
in some continuities, Amadeus Arkham literally let Marvin Mad Dog Hawkins, the killer of his family, get electrocuted to death because that's how much of a vendetta he had against Mad Dog.
Even after he was cured.
Supposedly.
Well, yeah, but even after supposedly he was cured, he still killed.
I mean, in the Arkham Asylum version, it's like it was the fact that Mad Dog had signed the document. It was given the document to sign to say that he was cured, and then instead of signing, he just took the pen and stabbed Arkham's secretary, and Arkham just let the guards beat Mad Dog to death.
Yeah. But to get onto this guy's points of stuff, he's just complaining that this game made in 2009 isn't full of 2024 Californian politics, and you're like, yeah, amazing. It's almost like they didn't exist back then. And also, this is fiction; they're not real. Cool.
Yep.
Made by Rocksteady before they committed Rocksteady.
All right, let's go.
Parts of the asylum that are routinely ignored by the staff. It depicts the mentally insane as primal monkey-like creatures in straitjackets and inhumane headwear. The mentally ill are consistently referred to as animals and freaks. In real life, if this facility was outed to the public, this would become the trial of a century at the
Wow, thank God it's not real life.
If this facility was in real life, calling the inmates animals would be putting it mildly.
In real life, it would be a scandal for the police to let Batman even into the asylum. Like, why are you letting this
It'd be a scandal to let Batman exist in real life.
Yeah.
No offense. There'd be a scandal if there was a 12-foot crocodile man killing people.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be a scandal if there was a bloke in a suit that could freeze people. It'd be a scandal that a half penguin man owns a nightclub.
Poison Ivy would be pretty scandalous, yeah.
Yeah. Also, in real life, do you think that people would care about the asylum when there's a literal alien god emperor that every so often comes down and tries to enslave the entire world? No one would care. There's a man who can fly around the Earth in a couple of minutes. No one cares.
And a man who can run that distance in less.
No offense, but like the insides of an asylum are the least of people's worries in this world. The people of Gotham have got there's like 600 odd insane criminals who will kill them in disgusting, horrible ways. Do you think they care about how the Arkham Asylum decor looks or how it's run? They just want the criminals to be locked away and never come back.
Also, how it looks is just taken straight from the comics. It's
Oh no! The Joker lives in his own shit-covered walled padded cell. No one cares. Okay, lock him away. He kills hundreds of people. Oh no, Wayman Jones is kept in a cellar down underneath the asylum. I don't care. He ate the face of the last person who spoke to him.
He ate Aaron
just
Cash's
the face?
hand. He ripped his hand off.
I thought he hit the last person who spoke to him.
You know what I mean? I'm just like example. It's like no one cares about what the asylum's like. Right, think about it. Do you even think about how on a day-to-day basis? Do you even care how a prison's run in real life?
Not really.
That no one cares.
The closest I get is building a death camp in Prison Architect.
Well, people very much care when that prison is letting them out, not how it is keeping them in.
Yeah, exactly. It's like so no one really understands it. So why in this fictional world would they care about a mental asylum? Like we have a few mental asylums in the UK. Does anyone care how they're run? Is it ever spoke about? Does anyone talk about it? No one cares. They can be doing whatever they want to in there. It's not a scandal. It's such a non-issue. It's only
why doesn't Batman care enough, even though he's got other stuff to worry about?
Given the new law coming in, we're getting Canada's made. Yeah, there's a lot of people talking about it now.
But it's just one of the things that okay. I don't understand that this person. I don't know. I just don't. His priorities are all wrong with what he thinks would be important in this world, and also what's important in this world.
When we're talking about playing a game and believing in how feasible everything is, the willing suspension of disbelief works within the context of the setting, and does the setting logically follow its existence? So it's like, for the most part, it's a fictitious world with all these crazy people, with all these magical powers, all these mutations, all these people that can do crazy things. Like, yeah, I think if we had a person running around with a fear toxin that causes you to go psycho and see things that aren't there, then a lot of things can be bent for having dirty rooms or skeletons.
So here's another thing that actually is off point. He talks about obviously being in modern day. On the pause screen, you can see one of the interview tapes there that's quite clearly based on the interview tapes from the 40s, 50s, and 60s they used to have and stuff. Because interview tapes now are actually done on DVDs. They're not done on these old like
Tape machine
style
The old
tape
reel.
machines, yeah.
Yeah,
So again, it's like,
Time.
that's almost like it's trying to portray that Arkham Asylum is not set in a current year, but like the animated series, of which its
Heavily
creators
based
and most of the voice cast is based on, it's in this imaginary time period that it's like it's still the 40s, but with bits of modern technology. So,
I mean, a lot of places that do have corruption tend to not update their facilities as much as they should.
It's also
So
just
it's
an aesthetic thing.
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is it's still to show that there's like it's an what do they call it? There's a word for it.
Archaic?
Not archaic. I can't think of the word. What it is.
Anachronistic?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, where it's like it's different things from different time periods and stuff. So you can't really place the piece of media. So
Yeah, just like with comics in general, it's just always kind of like fuzzy what actual time period it's supposed to be in.
It used to be like that.
Okay. Let's keep going.
The level of the Supreme Court. Now, by itself, these facts don't actually mean anything yet. Actually, it's a great setup for an insane story. What makes the game problematic is its response and utilization of these elements. Unfortunately, the game seemingly fails to realize its own implications. For a so-called hero who has delivered many people to the asylum over the years and has a secret bat cave on the island, right under the suicide cliff by the way, Batman is weirdly quiet about his thoughts on all of these things. Not only does he fail to care about the inhumane conditions here, but his actions lead me to believe he condones and participates in the same behavior. He bears no ill will towards the police chief, the doctors, or the warden. He somehow doesn't
that's
even
not
notice
true.
how horrific it is here. And if he did, it
He's very
he
angry at
literally
Dr.
numerous
Young.
times calls out doctors.
He calls out Dr. Young specifically
He
for
gets
creating
very
Titan.
angry about that.
He calls
Yeah,
her out on
specifically-
Titan specifically.
So he specifically calls out Dr. Young for Titan, the warden for mistreating the inmates,
And the security
for-
guard, the Officer Bowles. He's
Bowles.
like,
Moles?
and he gets balls.
No, Bowles. No, Bowles. Boles. Bowles.
What did he do?
The one who,
Yeah, so
the one who
he's
He's the guy who gave Joker the codes. You have to follow his whiskey, don't you? In the air.
He was working. He was Joker's inside man in the asylum because Joker had escaped, and Bowles was the one that gave him everything.
You can also see in the Asylum tapes that you can collect that there are some tapes where Batman's actively helping the doctors try to like stop the plans of the
I mean,
patients and
the very last tape for Scarecrow.
yeah, like he's in
is where
contact with some doctors that are trying to actually kind of fix the help rehabilitate them, and then
Yeah.
well, actually, the whole point of the Scarecrow tapes is that you have a doctor actually trying to help who's not corrupt, and then he finds out, oh, Scarecrow's just evil. He's not insane.
It's like, and the other doctor that's trying to help Crane is implied to be one of Crane's closest friends from back when Crane worked at the asylum.
Oh yeah.
and does
And that drives the ball home further that Crane is just one of those cases where you can't do anything for him, which carries over all the way into Arkham Knight, which is why, as dumb as his plan was in Knight, it does make sense for him to become the main villain there because he's just that evil.
As I always like the idea of
Setting aside the fact that the shit that happened to his face was because of Croc, not because of Bruce, but that's a whole other thing.
I like the idea of he just really wants to destroy Batman because he sees him as like trying to be the against fear, and like it's like, oh, it's trying to show even Batman can be afraid and broken. And
I will give Knight credit that in the ending they do call back to the Scarecrow's 5th interview tape in Asylum.
Yeah,
Like, what's wrong? Are you scared? That whole thing, but
he said that motivation was weak when like Scarecrow is.
the motivation is weak because Croc is the reason he got disfigured.
Well, like no, his motivation for destroying Gotham, he said it was weak, which I think.
In general, yeah, Scarecrow is just that evil, but the plan was specifically against Batman because of what happened in the Asylum. Even though, again, that was specifically because of Croc.
Yeah, well, evil, narcissistic, always like that.
Yeah, well, that those aspects of his personality playing a hand in that too. So fair enough. But yeah, it's like he does hold ill. But to go back to the point, he does hold ill will against some of the doctors, against Sharp specifically, against Bowles, and most importantly against Dr. Young for creating Titan, which is the cause of all this in the first place.
Yeah. When Batman finds Bane, it's like Bane is meant to be secretly there, and he didn't know
because there's the recordings from when you're rescuing the doctors in the medical facility of Patient X of Dr. Young saying Patient X is the reason Project Titan is possible, and then after that you find Bane. So yeah, she's not exempt from Batman's wrath because of that.
Also, Asylum clearly shows that Commissioner Gordon has no control over what happens in the Asylum. Like he can't even get access to stuff.
Yeah, Sharp.
The only thing, all he has control over is the criminals they bring in, and even then, Batman is the one that actually does it. The police just make sure all the paperwork's filed and done with, so that Batman can be the one to bring them into the Asylum.
Come on, let's keep going because I'm fascinated by this video, not in a good way, but just like, man, how can this guy be even more wrong?
I feel like this is going to be a two-parter because this is a lot to get. Every time he says something, we're like, wait, slow down there. Let's back that up.
Yeah, the thing is, he starts talking about stuff, and you're like, okay, let him just cook. Let's see where he's going with this.
Yeah, I'm scared of
going. It gets worse and worse, and you're like, no, I can't let this slide. No, I've got to say something now.
I want to keep this. I don't want to jump because he's saying so much, and he's like backing it behind a premise of, well, I think this is the way it went, or it should have been this way, and you're like, well, it's not. Too bad. It doesn't make it good or bad. That's the way it was, and now he's saying a falsehood about Batman not helping the doctors or trying to help the doctors. So, yeah, something's going on here. It's like he's doing headcanon for stuff he doesn't like and then forgetting what actually happened.
Yeah.
Explain how the villains and inmates feel. It might explain why they rose up in the first place. The most notable...
Oh my goodness. I know we were talking about not pausing and everything, but understanding their headspace might explain why they rose up. In Arkham Asylum, there's a fire at Blackgate, which causes Joker's goons to be transferred to the asylum.
Yeah.
So there's loads of Joker's goons there, which is part of Joker's plan. So 60 to 70% of the people who are now in asylum are Joker's men.
Blackgate prisoners, yeah.
Yeah. It literally... Joker even last goes about, what was it, like... what a coincidence that a fire happened and sent all my lads over here.
A coincidence, my ass, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a bit like, so that's why they rose up, because they were there in the first place to overthrow the guards. It wasn't some sort of people's revolution against the unfair treatment.
Yeah, all of the goons you fight in a hand-to-hand brawl or in the stealth sections, all of them are Blackgate prisoners. All of them are Joker's goons. The only ones that aren't are the psychotic patients from the isolation chamber. That's it. The game makes this very clear.
Example of this is his physical reaction towards the mentally insane. The brutality is simply unwarranted. Even if the player somehow avoids beating these guys to a pulp, their choice is not at all accounted for in the game.
Wait a second.
They're trying to kill people.
Wait a second.
When they first showed the mental patients in the isolation chamber, the reaction isn't supposed to be from Batman. It's supposed to be the reaction of the player.
Yeah, but he's
because
saying
Batman remains unflinching.
he's saying
Because he's seen this before.
Yeah, but
Sorry,
he's
go ahead.
saying the violence from Batman, aka the player, is unwarranted. It's like, dude, they're trying to kill him.
Just one grab to the ground and a single punch. That's it. Just to knock him out.
Well, the thing
Just
with the more
to pacify
insane
them.
ones, that's him.
Batman's
being,
using
like,
self-defense.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as every
Well,
good communist
that's the
knows,
point.
you're not allowed to use self-defense. You must let the insane person kill you.
That's how we're gonna say
In
that.
the Arkham universe, canonically, in all the fights, it's supposed to be Bruce using self-defense. It's like it's a I forget which dissonance it was. It is where ludonarrative dissonance, where it's always self-defense with Bruce when he's Batman. Yeah, you can attack first, but that's not really how it goes down.
I'm pretty sure there are parts where he says, "Okay," Batman tells them, "Hey, get back in your cell," and they're like, "No," and then they throw the first punch, and then
Yeah, no, well, Batman doesn't say anything. He's just they see him and they go on the attack. And it's like, with the mental patients, especially, it's self-defense where he just grabs him, pins him, puts him on the floor, one punch to the head,
Yeah,
knocked
but
out.
this is arguing against the concept of the game itself. Like, what do you want Batman to do? Like, get a trank gun or a taser and just subdue them as peacefully as possible? Like, yeah, he could have done that, but this is a Batman game where you move around as Batman and fight other guys with fisticuffs. I don't think this guy understands what he's trying to say here. He wants to change the very premise of the game design because it's a violent game and it's unwarranted violence when you're in self-defense. I just something's wrong.
he's saying, I think he's saying the gameplay that you have is not serving the narrative that he wants, which is to just like talk about the mentally unwell
No, he
and
wants.
their problems.
And how it's everyone else's fault.
He wants the game to be like the Joker's escape from Arkham and is destroying everything. Let's set up a committee to organise the response of a massive leaflet campaign telling Joker to stop. And it's just like a bunch of like old women at a car boot sale, and there's some other people handing out stickers and everything like that. And they're trying to raise some money, and
Once again, I don't
No,
sat down.
no. There is already an anti-Joker committee.
I've
It's called
seen that
Batman.
movie.
He's saying, I don't even think he understands the plot of the game when he's saying, why isn't Batman thinking about why the inmates rose up when they didn't? It was a prison break.
Yeah, it was
by
a
the Joker.
Yeah.
I've seen that movie. It's called Demolition Man.
All right. Let's keep. This
Yeah.
is getting a little like
That's
everything
right,
he's saying
Sean.
is like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fully intended this to be a tricky enemy type for the late game that is
No,
meant to
they
freak you out.
didn't.
Batman's attitude the entire game is my way or the highway.
It's Batman. He's always been that way.
Well known for his, diplomacy. And
You're saying that the developers intended the mental patients to be a tricky enemy in the late game?
Yeah.
Yes.
They're not.
That's what. And
It's
I mean,
just
they kind of are. They just jump. They jump out and just rush you. So
tricky
yeah,
my
that's
ass.
kind
I mean, you can preemptively punch them and they go down to the ground. I've done it before.
does this guy literally want like the mental patients to attack Batman? And Batman's response says, "No, let's talk about this. Maybe some tea and biscuits. Okay, well, hold on. Let's some hot chocolate then, if you're not into tea or something like that."
This is a Jennifer Hepler argument. If there was just a skip gameplay option and we get to the narrative parts, that'd be great.
Oh, fuck that.
Wants Batman to sit everyone down, LA Noir style, and talk about their problems.
No,
Is it a
it's not
notebook?
that. So Joker, is any of your problems because you have cream before jam on your scones? It's like, Batsy, I don't even have scones. But my mother never loved me. Oh.
Sure.
And if you win the dialogue game, then Joker agrees to go back to his cell.
Yeah, you get the persuasion check.
Yes. and then
No,
that's
guys.
how you-
To solve a Joker thing, Batman just goes, "Well, I guess it's down to me raping him."
No, please no.
I'm taking you back to your cell, Joker.
No, please no BBS here, please.
Yeah, we're gonna have Batman to quit Bone Mama's Raspberry Jam next time and have a.
You know what? I bet this guy actually liked that movie.
Hey, Joker. I heard you like some cream.
A special kind of
Joker.
cream. Ooh.
Don't drop the soap.
All right, we are at 12 minutes and 30 seconds. Everything this guy has said for the past at least 2 minutes, we have to pause and talk about.
It's all been bunk.
So we probably will have a second session either tomorrow or whenever we can put this together.
Possibly, yeah.
Because this is getting like he just keeps going, and we're like, we got to stop. We got to stop.
It's the fact that this has just been this. It's because this is It feels like he wanted to make a video on a well-regarded game, and especially since when did this video come out again? Was it this year?
Oh yes, this year, June.
Yeah, because like he wanted to push out a game against, wanted to push out a video talking about one of the most revered video games of all time on its 15th anniversary, speaking all this nonsense and trying to turn this whole thing topsy-turvy. And anyone that knows the slightest thing about Arkham Asylum knows this is all bunk.
No, what he actually did, and this is, and I wholeheartedly believe this is what 50% of YouTube does now, is they want to say something political, but they realise they are the most boring, uninteresting people alive. So what they do is, I'll use Batman Arkham Asylum as a skin suit, so that it'll drag people in, expecting me to talk sensibly about Batman Arkham Asylum, when in fact what I'll do for 32 minutes is talk about my political ideology and how it's so amazing and how this game is somehow wrong for not having it in, even though my political ideology is so delusional, only I can follow it. And that's what most of the things we cover on this channel are turned into. They don't know the source that they're covering, they don't have any clue about anything, it is solely political lectures that don't make sense. It's why we stop so often and say, what is this guy even talking about? It makes no sense. He wants to talk about Arkham Asylum. He spent 5.5 minutes talking about capitalism in Arkham Knight. Right? Cool. Yeah. Now he's on talk about the decor, about how it's problematic. Right? And now he's on about the fact that crazy people who are frothing from their mouth aren't allowed to just beat Batman to death because Batman didn't say, "Pretty please, can I knock you out?"
Well, we start playing the video, he says something stupid, but it hadn't been playing that long, so I decided, well, we can't pause it yet, it's only said one thing and it hasn't been long. Then it says another crazy thing. Alright, that's two.
And then he does the channel plug.
It's said half a dozen crazy things. Wait, it's only been 10 seconds.
Well, I've written them all down because I had the time to type it out because we've been pausing it so much, and it's been. Let me just go back the numbers. It's been the past 2 minutes have been pure just like everything he said, and before that it was, the 9-minute mark had at least 5 different things he said that were off. You could argue some of his preferences about Hush. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever you want. But yeah, no, it's going to be like this the rest of the video, I'm sure.
What chapter are we on?
The second one.
What's this?
Also, to Whisp in the chat, I'm not just talking about socialism. I'm just saying this guy is talking out of crap because all he cares about is his politics.
Well, we're in the politics section, so hopefully the next one he'll talk about modernism.
Oh, God, modernism is as you can be. Listen, my politics is very modern, progressive.
Okay.
And now,
Anyway.
let me talk about how Che Guevara took control. Oh my God!
All right.
Oh no!
We got. I'm going to go to the halfway mark, 16 minutes, which is a little bit through the modernisms isms section.
No, let's just start the modernism isms.
No.
So we can see like.
I want to finish this section. We're going to keep going. I don't want to jump ahead because this is so...
No, okay.
There's so much to work with here. So,
right.
And it is on a topic we know well, so we could deal with it.
Yep.
well how corrupted this environment is. Batman is, I guess, forced to hit Bane with his car and nearly kill him despite being a lab rat and likely tripping on Titan without his consent. Batman is so upset that Poison Ivy decides to leave her cell where she is subjected.
Oh, why would he be upset? The eco-terrorist got free.
Bane literally grabs Batman and goes, "Now, Batman, I will break you." And then Batman has to go, "No, Bane, this time I break you."
And
Bane's
then
going to
brings him
kill
to the car. And then brings him to the
Okay,
car, smack him into the water.
Guys, no, there was no point arguing it. Just move on. Bane's innocent. He did nothing wrong.
My head. In relation to Project Titan specifically, he didn't, but otherwise, no.
Listen, Bane Floyd did nothing wrong.
Look, Bane did not consent to picking Batman up and trying to kill him in his hands.
And George Ivy did nothing either. So let's just move swiftly on.
All right.
To isolation and basically torture because she cannot use her powers. Then he just has to trap Killer Croc in a pit even though he invaded his own home, a place where he's completely cut off from human contact despite being a human himself. He repeatedly beats up the quote-unquote animal inmates from Blackgate who are out.
Quick thing on that, Batman is not cut off from human contact. He is actively cutting himself off to deal with the Asylum incident.
Ginga. It means Killer Croc is cut off from human contact despite being human himself.
Well,
Croc.
He's describing Croc as being in his own home when he's just a criminal without certain rights to property. So he's not in his own home. He's a cellmate.
He's in his cell, made specifically for him because he would eat people if he was put in with anyone else.
And I was going to say, but the thing about Waylon Jones is he's got that condition and he can't really
Origin specifies what it is. It's atavism. It's a rare genetic condition that activates dormant genes in the human genome.
But even at his kindest, even at his most gentlest, people still, shy away from him because he looks that way and he's scary. So yeah, he generally doesn't get human contact anyway.
At his kindest, he throws you across the room.
He also didn't invade it. I actually forget the plot point, but you have to go in there to get for the spores to counter the Titan. Yeah, he just neglects the reason he actually goes in there.
Also fascinated by this next bit where he's about to humanize the Blackgate prisoners, who are a bunch of raping, murdering psychopaths.
Okay, so Batman goes into Killer Croc's cell to neutralize the spores?
No, he goes into the sewers, which aren't. The sewers are the only place they could put Croc after he bit Aaron Cash's hand off.
Yeah,
and they couldn't have him in any cells.
You see his cell in the medical facility.
It got made just for him because he was eating people.
Yeah, Croc had just broken out of his cell in the medical facility by the time Batman came in with the Joker. And and at the very start of the game is when they put him in the sewers.
Yeah.
And Batman goes there specifically to get a component to create a cure for Titan.
Yeah.
All right.
Which, as we see by the end of the game, he ends up using it on himself.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Out of there, Batman want them to do exactly? Stay there in a lockdown facility that may not come back into control for days? Does he want them to just sit there and starve to death? Why? At no point does Batman ever attempt to de-escalate the situation. The answer is always violence
They've got guns! They're shooting people!
He uses non-lethal force against people who are using lethal force.
The goons have taken over the island. They have access to the armory, to the provisions, to everything. They have a leg up on Batman.
I so totally want this soft-spoken Pratt just to be dropped into the most high security wing of a prison and just survive for as long as he can.
Reminder that all the Arkham games, at least the base story, they all take place within a single night.
What does he
as ridiculous as it gets, but still.
What does he expect Batman? What does Batman expect them to do? How about not killing the guards and the people there?
There's literally a part. There's a part in Asylum where they dress up as medics and first responders to trick people so that they can kill them quicker and easier.
It was on the way. I think it was near the end of the game, on the way to the Botanical Gardens.
Yeah. So that they're actively out there to kill people and everything like that. And these people aren't nice people. Why is this guy's response to everything is, have you tried talking to the homicidal maniac? It's like, oh, what's that? What was that guy's name who tried to talk to that guy with a knife and got stabbed and killed in front of his girlfriend?
Yeah, that.
This guy is literally going, well, why doesn't everyone just do that? That worked well. I just can't.
And also to add to the moment where they disguise themselves as first responders, that's also meant to be a gotcha moment.
Also, why didn't he ask Killer Croc to just let him into his cell? The Killer Croc at the start of the game told Batman he would kill him if he saw him again.
Yeah, and to the point where there's even the Easter egg where if you try to go to the source directly, you get Croc on the other side smashing the glass of the door.
Don't you find inmates in the game that are actually not taking part and are just trying to stay themselves?
Not in Asylum, no.
I could have sworn, yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Anyway, back to the violence thing.
15 minutes and 30 seconds. We're going to go again for another 2 and a bit.
30 seconds.
We're going to try for 5, jeez.
We'll go
Everyone in
16
Arkham
minutes.
Asylum deserves to be brutalized, either because of past criminal charges or because they are mentally ill and cannot be controlled by nature. Of course, I know what a lot of people are thinking right now, and I'm going to get to it. A lot of this is because Rocksteady thought about the gameplay first, but then put very little thought into its implications. And that's fine, that doesn't make the game horrible or bad in any way. Again, it's one of my favorite games of all time. What I'm trying to argue here is that there is a better version of this game that exists out there.
Oh my god, dude, yes.
I want to hear that.
My idealized headcanon is perfect. If only they thought the way I thought, if only they could see what I see, this game would be amazing.
His headcanon is oh wow, tea and scones. Talking about our feelings in a therapy group. Yeah, that'll keep everyone entertained for 20 hours.
Yeah,
if he really is gonna bring up another game, I want to see what it is.
Well, the idea is if only they had another game mechanic where we can do something else. And I'm like, okay, what exactly did you want them to do here? Because all he did was say, oh, what if Batman didn't do this? It's like, okay, then what would the game do? What would you do? Would you sit there, watch a cutscene while everyone just goes their separate ways and say, we're sorry? No, of course not. We need conflict. And it doesn't matter if the conflict is resolved through the game mechanic of fighting or through a cutscene or something. Like, you need to showcase that. You can't just have everything de-escalate, because that would defeat the purpose of a story, let alone a game. So this idea of, if we can just sit down and I could talk to Killer Croc and he could talk to me and we don't kill each other, and you're like, that would be, you would still have conflict. You would still have something going on. You would have a talking mechanic, like Deus Ex style or whatever. But you can't just dismiss it and saying, well, it's not interesting enough for me. It's like, I don't care what perfect world you have in your brain. If you can't translate, like, give me an example of another game of a specific situation or a style of conflict, which is like, hey, in this dialogue, you can get someone's head blown off. Like, that would be great. It's like, I agree. I liked it in Deus Ex Human Revolution or whatever. But he's not doing that. He's just saying, oh, they're missing all these wonderful ideas. And I'm like, what are they going to do with those ideas? How would that be fun? How would people, like would you like a match 3 puzzle game when you come in into a dialogue choice and you have to match 3 really quickly within 30 seconds and you eliminate the board and Killer Croc likes you? That would be stupid. So what does this guy want?
His ideal game, like, and story and everything, makes the cartoons I sit down and watch with my daughter seem like hardened crime dramas.
He wants a Batman RPG where you can befriend every villain and have them join your party.
Oh yeah, he wants communication checks and perception checks and dice rolls and all kinds of nonsense.
I'm not joking. This guy could sit for an episode of Bluey and complain about how it's violent and problematic. And I'll be like, right, okay, have you tried Bear in the Big Blue House? And he's like, oh, well, that's still a bit too... It's like, well, we're down to Peppa Pig now, kiddo. What this is if this is the level of what's not problematic.
Oh, but Peppa Pig is problematic.
Well, yeah, well...
Remember, because Muslims.
Oh, yeah, true. but the way he's describing his... Yeah, unfortunately. The way he's describing his perfect game with stuff is just like, it's not even like what Smud was saying, like, is there a talk mechanism? It's just it's a completely different game where there's no fighting, there's no action or anything. It is just sitting in a room and talking about his politics.
It's a bit more like Batman's de-escalation should be more like, if I just let Joker finish raping his latest victim, he'll realise that rape is bad and just stop.
Have you tried telling the Joker that crime is bad? It's like, alright, let's try that. You're like, okay, that's the game you want.
If this was...
No, he cut off my face. Oh no, he's stabbing me.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm dead.
If Batman was like sneaking up on corrupt politicians in the middle of the night and threatening them, then he'd be like, okay, there's the context. He's not going to obviously beat up some big fat cat in his bathrobe or whatever. So you could have a scenario where he is intimidating people. If you do this, or if you vote on this bill, bad things are going to happen, and I won't be able to help you, blah, blah, blah. The law is up in the air. Yeah, you could possibly make a scenario, but if it doesn't fall within the confines of the plot of what we already got, then you're making up your own game. You're making up your own story.
That's in character for Batman, and it sounds like an interesting thing to do, to sneak up to a politician without alerting any of his guards.
Yeah, but on the subject of de-escalation, I think in every moment in the Arkham games, he first tries to de-escalate and say, stop, let him go. Like in the Hush side mission, when Hush has Fox to gunpoint, he tries to talk him down and says, look, and then it gets violent.
Yeah, it's almost expected that, and it makes perfect sense that it does go to violence just because it's a beat 'em up game, but because of this idea that, okay, can we talk them down? Is there a talking mechanic? If there's not, let's say with a stealth in like Mass Effect, there's no stealth mechanic in these games, so you can't sneak up behind people really, unless they're already behind. They did that in Mass Effect 3 for like 2 scenes. It's like if they don't have the mechanic, you can't expect that. So either the dialogue plays out and nothing happens, there's no conflict, or we go straight to violence. So I don't see a problem with that, especially if the context is there's a bunch of psychos with guns and they're coming at you already, or they got someone hostage and they're going to come after you anyway. So I don't mind that. Plus it's a comic book. It's what we expect pretty much half the time. And unless it's done very creatively, of the scenario of someone at a certain angle, and Batman is really good with his batarang and it arcs like Beckham or whatever, like that'd be, oh cool, that's a cool cutscene, and that would be like a one-time thing. Then you would argue, wait a second, why can't Batman do that again? And you're like, oh, so we have this continuum of lore that has to perpetuate itself, and if you don't keep this mechanic going, now you're creating all these plot holes for the sake of it because this scene someone decided to be different, as opposed to let's keep the gameplay the same and introduce mechanics as complexity is increasing, or as difficulty is increasing. That's how you do game design with the existing systems. You add to them, as opposed to let's just go to a cutscene and just Batman can do things like arc his batarangs around obstacles and stuff. So there has to be the gameplay element there, and maybe they could do like I don't know. He's got some sort of ether on his gloves. He could like punch people, and the more you punch them in the head, they knock out, or something stupid like that. You could do silly things like that if you want to be the non-lethal way of doing it. But it's Batman. He doesn't kill, so we're fine. He just gives him a concussion. It's fine. Anyway, We're going to go for another 2 minutes because I think each of one of you could pause every 10 seconds and have something to say about this guy. Okay, here we go. 14 minutes.
Explains these implications. What I found when watching Micah Edmonds' video was a feeling of discomfort. Arkham Asylum is easily my favorite Arkham game because, despite that narrative shortcoming, the environment is still the most interesting and dense out of the series. The reference material was an amazing pick to revitalize DC in the video game market. Unfortunately, great reference materials means you need a lot of care, and this is where Rocksteady just dropped the ball, but it's something we never really noticed originally. This critical look at...
I would argue you guys did care very much about Arkham. It's in the title, it's in the gameplay. Arkham City was probably the biggest example as everything's blown up. But no, Arkham was the focus of the narrative. So I don't think they dropped the ball at all.
The eth behind Batman Arkham Asylum is, I think, a postmodernist stance that people are not inherently trained in. People think more about if a game is fun way before they even talk about what it really means narratively.
That was a weird take.
Care about if a game's fun. Jesus Christ. We're not all political ideologues that live in misery.
If it's not fun, what's the point?
The thing he said about implying that postmodernism is required for it to make sense narratively is bizarre, and I don't know why you'd ever want to use that within a video game. This is not one of those games where you have to like think about the narrative in a postmodern lens. You can, but there's really no point to it. So what? And if he can give me a corollary that explains how that would work, I'd be like, okay, let's give me your example, sir, of your postmodern lens in the Arkham game. I'm curious.
1884, Karl Marx created communism. That's where we'll begin our story. Now, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, here's Saint Foucault and his view of what Batman is in the 70s. You're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like maybe there's some analysis that would work with modern or 2009 Batman Arkham. I don't know. That could be a thing. But you don't just stop there, sir. You give me a proper rundown of what you're implying, because people are focused on gameplay in a game. Like, what are you talking about? Of course they're going to be caring about gameplay.
To understand Arkham Asylum, you must first understand the Red Army's invasion of Lower Russia in 1917. We'll begin with have a surrounded Stalingrad. You're like, oh yeah, I don't think we're on the same wavelength there, buddy. I want to talk about DC Comics.
It sounds like he's one of those guys, like a Neil Druckmann type of like, I can't have a deep, thoughtful narrative in the game unless I sacrifice the fun of the gameplay.
We don't use the term fun anymore. We use engagement.
It's just like he's trying to say you can either have fun gameplay or you can have a in-depth narrative. And it's like it's ridiculous.
I mean, there is a truth to that. There is a difference between how much freedom you allow the player to fuck around and just do fun things versus forcing them to watch a depressing story with escape from it.
I mean, just look at
You can have a depressing story that's fun to go through, though. It's like you don't have to be stuck with one or the other.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between allowing them the freedom to do stuff versus forcing them to watch the story.
Yeah, it's a strange thing to say. This hamburger is the focus is the patty. It's too boring or it's too this. I'm expecting more. It's like, okay, if you've eaten like or played so many Arkham games, you're like, this Arkham game's just like the last one. It's like, okay, what should they have done more? I think all the games from Arkham have been different in their own context.
Hold on. So, if you've eaten or played some Arkham games,
I gotta say that's a nice taste in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, it's kind of like saying I want a little something special, and I'm like, I agree. I do want something a little more than just burger, pickle and bun. I want the special touch, the special seasoning, the special sauce, whatever the chef is going to blow me away with. But that's provided I get what I wanted, which is the patty, the pickle, and the bun, and then you give me more. So I want what's already expected, what's assumed in a sequel, especially when you're talking about Arkham, so City or whatever, and then you give me the special twist, the special take, the vegan whatever. Give me the other thing you want me to experience. I'm okay with that. Do your special thing, but you gotta give me the basics. And saying you're missing the narrative. It's like, what do you want people to pay? Like, really, really pay attention to the narrative. When I'm talking about postmodernism, it's like, sure, what exactly should I be paying attention to? And he doesn't explain.
The thing is, as well, it's one of those things where you can have a very story-focused game that is still fun.
Yeah, the Telltale games.
And I don't like the idea that there has to be this separation of stuff. But also, fun is such a subjective thing. People can have fun with the worst stuff possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the example of the tank in was it City or was it Night? I can't remember where the tank was. Where you're
the Batmobile.
Night.
Yeah.
I think
Night.
the stories. So the stories people generally seem to remember more than others are the ones that they have to interact with, they have to seek out and find each detail of a story.
Yeah.
And that includes games like Mass Effect, which is a very story-focused game. You still have to investigate for the main plots.
Yeah.
True, but also very debatable.
Well, first game at least.
Yeah, but it's like
there's only one Mass Effect game in there.
Oh, sorry.
True. Yes, Andromeda.
Yes, Andromeda, my favorite one. I'm glad we can talk about it.
Okay. All right.
But like talking obviously, like let's put it this way, Arkham Knight's not a happy story. But people still have fun with the game.
That happy.
Yeah, that's why I mean, in terms of fun, like the tank scene where you see you can just blow away entire people with your bat tank, or whatever you want to call the Batmobile. It sort of takes that out of context. Like, whoa, what are we doing here? Is this a thing to be expecting in a Batman story, that he'll just pull out the artillery and start blowing away things?
He'll just run people over.
Non-lethal rounds, Smud.
Yeah, the non-lethal explosive rounds. That's how that works.
So obviously, once you hit, you're driving at 90 miles an hour, and when you hit somebody, they get electrocuted. Then you can shoot him with a non-lethal round, because no one ever dies from that.
Also in the Spider-Man games, where you just throw people off rooftops, and the game doesn't comment on it at all. It's like, oh, did you just kill that guy? I don't know. We don't know.
Well, they get webbed to the side of the building. You can even see it happen. You can even see it happen
in the Insomniac game, but in the other ones, like on PS2, they just fell.
Yeah, because the old ones focused on being a fun game first. Damn the realism.
I love in the PS1 games, you throw them off and they just go, and then the model disappears, so you don't know.
Just instead of dying, we just remove from existence, so it never happened.
Although
the life force is gone.
Although you say that,
Spider-Man didn't kill them. Thanos did.
The thing is, in Shattered Dimensions, they straight have the explanation. Anyone you throw off a ledge, they just get put somewhere else. Madam Web puts them somewhere else.
Oh, jeez.
Just teleports them to safety.
Sure,
I mean that. No, she straight up says it in the tutorial.
Really?
She literally says it. It's like because it's part of the tutorial.
To everyone, then?
It's to all of them, yeah. Because you play as 2099. One of the combat tutorials is to do the combo and then to throw someone. But Miguel accidentally throws someone off the roof, and Madam Web just pops them. It just teleports them somewhere else to safety. She says it herself.
All right. Okay. Let's
and she's a multiversal being as well.
Finish up the last 2 minutes of this video, and the last 2 minutes of where we currently are. And then we'll call it a night. And I think we gotta pace ourselves with this guy, because we gotta, I don't want to get too excited, and we can go on all night. So I don't want to use up too much time. Everyone's in different time periods.
Good lord.
Yeah. Here we go.
Modernism and postmodernism are often used as a somewhat overarching artistic term, primarily about the elements we care about when attempting.
No. We do not use postmodernism for anything we care about. Maybe you might, but again, you can explain that to us properly and do not combine that with modernism. That's two different things. So I don't know why he said that.
He's using the royal we.
We, the real fans, us, the guy. Yeah, okay.
In my
Mate, I don't speak French. What are you on about here, pal?
To actively characterize art. Merriam-Webster dictionary describes modernism as a modern artistic or literary philosophy and practice.
That's really not well.
That is the most generic thing you could say. Visual art, like you talking about sculpture, you talking about film, you talking about French film. Like, what are you talking about? Just in general.
Not definitive at all.
That's it. What are you talking about? Yes.
Not postmodernism. He used a generic definition of modernism. It's like that's not even remotely close to describing what modernism is in context. Anyway.
A self-conscious break from the past and a search for new
What have I
forms
missed?
of expression.
Sorry for that delay.
Modernism is simply a term for the art philosophy surrounding the 20th century. Art that is particularly simple and not something we would see as deep in any real way. Modernist movies like that of a Western have a clear-cut villain and hero. The earliest Westerns often include...
Yeah, he's not putting a time frame to when modernism was coined, nor is he referring it to what he's trying to explain in 2009. So I don't know where he's going with this. He's just describing the term and trying to articulate what it means to him, and you're like, and that means what?
I step away, I come back, he's talking about modernism. What the hell
It's
is
not even... The Arkham game isn't even modern, because it's the time... The time.
Okay, I'm going to be delayed again.
God is saving him from the stupidity of this video.
No, but like, so his idea of modernism, with film and everything, is they made a black and white movie with a woman tied to a train track. Anyway, now modernism.
Yeah,
so there's a big gap.
Yeah, the basic idea with modernism is you're breaking away from established norms of storytelling or visual arts or music or anything you're trying to do in art. The thing is, you have to compare it to something that's you're distancing yourself from. So if you say the modernism of 2009 Arkham, you're like, are you talking about comparing it to the comics from whenever? Which one? Great. How about the Bats show? How about the movies? And which movie? So you have to, like, you can't just say modernism in Batman. Like, what are you comparing it to? So you have to set this up properly.
Yeah, if I was going to do an example of like how the Arkham Asylum is modernism, I compare it to, say, Batman Vengeance, which was one of the last ones that came out. And you could say, yeah, you can see the difference of like how it is, modern compared to that, even though there's only a few years in between it. So that could be an example. You can't just say, oh, it's modern because a Western. You're like, okay, I don't know where you're going with this, pal.
Yeah, he's basically saying that good versus evil is a modern invention that pretty much started with Westerns.
That's
good versus evil. It's how many thousands of years old?
So it was just fucking smoke alarms going off. New stovepipe.
Uh-huh.
You
anyway,
get the idea.
Anyway.
How many thousands of years old is the idea of good versus evil?
Oh, I mean...
I would say Judeo-Christian beliefs, but even before that...
Epic of
the first ever movie of Good versus Evil, Birth of a Nation.
Okay, all right. Anyway...
you're gonna get
as tall as time.
Yeah.
I'm glad I've got whiskey for this.
All right, we are gonna go for another minute, and then we're gonna call it a night because this will go on forever. But his premise is just he hasn't set up his premise yet, so we have to wait for that.
Yeah.
Native Americans as an almost spiritual threat to society, but they would never really discuss why.
What the fuck did I miss? Native Americans are a threat? What?
Don't worry. Don't worry. He's getting there.
Weren't interested in critical thought or making the audience question their surroundings. They were simply for entertainment and to solidify the values of the time. Postmodernism was the response to this philosophy coming in the late 20th and early 21st centuries.
That's still
it would
super
describe
late.
these westerns as unethical and shallow, that these films were manipulations of the real world in a wasteful way. A
Name one fucking
postmodernist
movie.
story has more relatable, flawed human characters. The world isn't perfectly clear-cut into black and white moralities, and the ending isn't always happy. In a way, the postmodernist story is a response to the American lie that older stories propped up, that the bad guys would be defeated and that the good guys would be rewarded, that justice was innate and pure. Postmodernism throws away the idea that things are concretely good or bad and that things inherently matter. The video essay, Why Do Movies
He's just talking about things he agrees with that have nothing to do with fucking Batman.
No, that's
So he's
fine. This is
upset
fine.
that-
He's just setting something up, and we're just sort of okay. His definition of postmodernism is good enough,
Where's-
but
I think you have-
where he's going with it, we're not sure yet. So I'm gonna keep going until he gets there. Then we'll pause it and call it a
meta-modern a
night.
thing?
Sorry,
Is meta-modern a thing?
I don't know.
I've never heard of that. I don't know.
I step away to help move furniture, get new stovepipe put in. I come back. Native Americans are something. What the fuck does this have to do with Batman?
Don't worry.
Oh, don't worry. Nothing's really mattered with
Oh,
Batman.
but what he's
apart
talking
from
about in
his
these
evil
westerns
sacrifice.
is objectively wrong because there's
No.
never, ever, ever. I've never seen a fucking western that painted Native Americans as purely innately evil because they've always been victimized. That's just nature. That's history.
He's just giving a quick rundown of what Foucault was saying about film in the 60s and the 70s, perhaps. I'm not sure exactly.
The only westerns I've seen have always been sympathetic to Native Americans.
Okay, no, that's fine.
I don't think the Western's the main point here.
What fuck is he talking about?
No one
What did I miss?
Don't worry.
Is trying to talk about postmodernism.
Yeah, just the history of it, where it came from, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
that's fine.
I'm gonna need more whiskey.
That's
aren't
okay.
I?
How long is the chapter?
You're gonna need a full
Let me
bottle.
check. This goes on until
I've got about a quarter.
23
of a
minutes. So at the 23-minute mark.
Okay, we can stop here, I guess.
Well, I want to know where he goes with this because he just sort of set
Yeah,
it up. I
okay.
want to just hear where he's going.
Another minute.
Yeah.
by Thomas Flight explains everything I just said in far more detail. It's a really insightful watch. Throughout this video,
Right, so he went nowhere with it so far. He's finished his premise.
Yeah, he just defaulted to someone else. He's like, oh, there's some other guy who explains it better because I read his book. And you're like, good, fine, we'll go consult with him, I guess.
So far, I have been criticizing the Arkham games through a postmodernist lens, a deeply critical lens.
Really?
The modernist lens was how I viewed the game as a kid. I didn't care about what all of this meant. I just liked that.
Sorry. He's saying he was using a postmodernist lens, but as a kid, he was using a modernist lens. And I'm just like, what is the difference? You haven't set up what modernism is.
He just said he wasn't thinking critically as a kid. Now he's the modernist.
I guess as a kid, you don't always think critically, but I'm sure part of your logical side of your brain was going, yeah, this doesn't make sense, or this is perfect, or whatever. It happens naturally. So
I remember the first time I watched Sixth Sense, I saw Bruce Willis's character die in the first scene. Every single scene, including Bruce Willis, in that movie afterward, I kept thinking, wait, isn't he dead? I thought he died in the first scene.
yeah.
Why is he still walking around?
Because you touch yourself at night.
At the age of 15, playing
that
this
might
game,
be.
I realised it was like a fictional thing, so I didn't think too much about how it affects the real world. So I don't know what this guy's on about here. It's a Batman game.
We are slowly getting to what he's trying to say, and I'm curious. I'm very curious where he's going with this.
Mysterious and contained all the cool, colorful villains I could only see in the comics or a Lego game. But coming back as an adult, you begin to ask more questions. You begin to ask why things are the way they are. Nevertheless, my outlook on the game doesn't just stop there, though. It would be odd if it did, because you could just watch Micah Edmonds' video and be done. I actually have a positive analysis of this game, one that attempts to go beyond postmodernism. The previously mentioned video by Thomas Flight breaks down the evolution in film from modernism, postmodernism, to finally metamodernism. Metamodernism is a response to postmodernism. Postmodernism is bleak. It hopes to show the world as it is. It hopes to tear down all of the lies and grand manipulations of the world and expose it as this meaningless, depressing
and people
existence.
are sick of the
I feel like this was
nihilistic
their
bullshit.
way of airing out their frustrations. These stories are meant to be therapeutic. Sometimes escapism isn't just about fun. It can take the form of fictional characters expressing the emotions you cannot show in real life.
Session.
So he's just a nihilist. He's a nihilistic jackass, is what he is.
It's not even that. It's just I want a therapy session on screen.
You want a
like I
therapy
said,
session? Fucking call a therapist and set one up and talk to a professional.
Well, even
like
without,
I said, no, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, even without his descriptions of modernism and postmodernism, etc., he's just trying to say that you can do stuff in games that you can't do other places, and this is how you get more out of your narrative outside of just gameplay and fun. And I'm like, yeah, you do that in stories all the time, so that's true. I don't know how or why he brought up these terms, though. So whatever meta-modernism
When you say something is meta, they're self-aware of its bullshit. Like when a game is meta to the point where it's self-acknowledging it being a game. Like a fourth wall joke.
You could say in that
what I
context, you can use meta for that. It could just mean anything beyond the narrative. So it could mean a theme that isn't present or is visually or thematically present that you could talk about. So there's lots of ways to take that. I'm just really not sure where he's going with this.
He just wants a
Sadness.
Arkham.
Yeah.
Sadness, trauma. Like, why do you think everyone likes Ryan Gosling right now?
What?
Alternatively, metamodernism takes this a step further. It doesn't just end at the negative emotion targeted at the world. It attempts to reconcile those emotions and or provide a solution to the inherent problems of society. To me, the metamodernist is attempting to find what's truly valuable about art, not just if it is authentic, but if it impacts people in a positive way or pushes society forward.
So he's trying to put some sort of Carl Rogers humanism into storytelling, and he's calling that meta-modernism. I've never heard the term. Maybe it's a thing you can study at university. I have no idea. So, fine, okay. I'm again. You could use these lenses for all kinds of context, and maybe there is a silver lining in the Arkham games that you go, oh, isn't that a nice ending, or isn't that a nice quest line ending for this character? You can do that, sure. That's fine.
This in a sense that the audience should come out of the experience with a big smile on their face, but just that the work has some kind of helpful knowledge that informs progress. Sometimes in postmodernist art, simply begging the question can be enough to inspire, but some can also spread misplaced nihilism. At the end of the day, all of these different types of experiences, modernism, postmodernism, and metamodernism, all have their place in society, and they aren't all inherently good or bad.
They're not. Wait. He's saying they're not inherently good or bad, but he specifically said metamodernism is about finding the good or the useful.
About progress or something.
Is he just now getting back to Arkham Asylum?
Well, he had to explain his terms, which is fine. I'm a bit confused what they mean now, because he just said that they're not the same as what he previously described. And they're neutral, like they're just tools. I agree, they are just tools. But what does that mean? Like, what is he getting at?
I'm still confused as to what Westerns in their portrayal of Native Americans have to do with Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, he was just describing the setup.
I think I understood. So apparently, according to him, modernism is the idea that there are good and bad people, and that if you do
and good always triumphs or something.
If you do good things, you'll benefit from it, and good triumphs over evil. Right? Postmodernism, the world sucks.
It's just nihilistic bullshit.
You're going to die.
That's why people like Smiling Friends, because it rejects that nihilistic mindset.
And meta-modernism is basically it's just modernism.
Well,
Again, we
yeah,
it's just what he called modernism.
Yeah, this is no different than, let's say, we talk about tales of Grimm or oral traditions, fairy tales, that sort of thing. It's especially the Germanic ones. They're very brutal, and they're very like, if you do this, someone dies. It's always someone tragically dies to learn a lesson, right? So it's like we already have horror stories, scary stories to get children to grow up and to behave well. And using these tools in a context where it doesn't belong is like, okay, well, why would you bother using modernism to explain Hansel and Gretel, for example? You can try and see where that leads you. But no, most of these fairy tales are pretty dour, and that's why we have tragedies. We have operettas and Italian, Austrian. There's all kinds of tragic operettas telling the story of love that's been lost. Everyone dies. Shakespeare's known for his tragedies. So good or bad, good and evil, right and wrong, we don't necessarily need those lenses. So I'm curious what drama or comedy values of the narrative of Batman we're going to get using these lenses are going to mean to us or mean to him. Because what this sounds like, he just read a book for one of his university classes. He's like, wow, this guy understands narrative. I'm going to use that to think about my favorite video game. You're like, great.
Like, he's talking about the lenses. Why should Arkham Asylum have any lens? Why?
Well, this is the problem that these people do. They apply this to like poets and not video games. Video games are its own visual medium, audio medium, interactive medium, and then the meta narrative, whatever that is to them. And then you try to apply postmodernism lens, you're like, everything's shit, everything doesn't work, there is no truth to the world, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, and?
And what did the game devs intend? Like, maybe they just intended this game to have a modernist lens, which to him is just good versus evil, and like, what's wrong with that?
This whole thing reminds me of when you're in like an English lesson and the teacher goes, and so the author writes the curtains are blue, and what he means is the deep sadness. In reality, the author's like, no, the curtains were fucking blue.
Like, I've seen the meme where Shakespeare wrote that the door was red to symbolize his anger and hatred. Shakespeare, the door was fucking red.
It's a green door.
Whatever.
All right. Anyway, I want to hear at least a smidgen of this, then we'll pause it. And
pause. Good God, this is. We keep going to learn a bit more, and each time another sentence is said, and we go, well, we have to hear the next sentence to make the last sentence make sense.
We've got like it's like a train wreck. You can't take your eyes off of it. It's a horrible tragedy, but you can't take your eyes off it.
We're more than halfway through, and you said you wanted to save something for another session.
Yeah, I just want to know where we're going, because I'm lost for the past 3 minutes. I'm like, I want something to remember. Oh yeah, we stopped at this point. Next time we start this, I'll be like, I have no idea what's going on. So I want something, and I can talk about it, write it down. Okay.
Saying where we're going is like, this guy's driving the bus, and I'm like, where we're going, and you just see the image of like the orphanage coming closer and closer and closer, and I'm like, oh, somewhere good.
He said he had a positive view critique of the game, and he only got around to that.
He likes this game.
Yeah.
This is his favourite Arkham game. The guy thinks that the core of the Asylum is problematic.
Well, he has an adult.
As we've already established, that the reason why the Asylum is dark and creepy and twisted is because it's a fucking asylum. They're dark, twisted, and creepy. That's why they're good horror settings.
Well,
shall we just get to like the 20-minute mark? And we can say, oh, it's 20 minutes, and then you got like 12. You know what I mean?
Sure, we can go to 20 minutes. That's fine.
How long has this stream been going?
Let me check. It's been
going
2 hours and 8 minutes.
It's been 84 years.
All right. Anyway,
It definitely feels like it. I just came back like 10 minutes ago after putting Stovepipe together.
All
The
right.
next Arkham game came out already.
I aged a century listening to your 2-hour thesis and a half-hour-long tangent.
All right.
Anyway,
Let's go.
Problematic game due to it containing references and topics that require a postmodernist, but that's not the whole story. Inklings of the source material can be found throughout the game, which is meant to be a sort of adaptation of it. Arkham Asylum, A
That's
Serious
not
House
accurate.
on
It's
Serious
not
Earth,
adapting
was
those
released in
things, taking
1989, written by Grant Morrison and illustrated by Dave
Oh, hey,
McKean.
Ginga, you brought that
I
up
hope
a minute
I
ago.
pronounced that right, oh god. When you read this book, the creepy visuals and symbols seen in the game are given far more context. For example, the beetle symbol branded on many of the buildings is a direct reference to the book, where Amadeus's dementia-ridden mother ate beetles to protect herself from the evil forces in the house. Amadeus Arkham's entire story is adapted from this book, which of course the book does a better job of telling it. This may be one of the best graphic novels I've ever read for obvious reasons. Not only does it take a deeply philosophical look at Batman's character and existential ideas about sanity and the human condition, but is illustrated in such an expressionistic and unique way. It's hard to tell how this book was illustrated. It appears to have real images mixed in with drawings. Each page is sort of a puzzle, which panel to read first, who is talking, what is going on. The drawings express how the characters feel, and the topography of their dialogue perfectly represents their personality. Batman is never truly seen in full, always in shadow. Joker's body contorts and changes, he's sometimes towering, sometimes normal. Clearly, Arkham Asylum is a postmodernist work. It fully shatters the paradigm we often see in Gotham City. Technically, everyone...
If you guys don't know this, Dave McKean, he's the guy who does the covers for Sandman. It is very impressionistic. That's normal style. That's fine.
Yep.
Well, it was,
is a villain
He was
in-
also heavily inspired by another comic called Arkham Asylum: A Living Hell, which is where Aaron Cash comes from.
The structures, the patients, even Batman. They are all illustrated to be evil in some way. Most of all, it brings light to the profession of the psychiatrist. Obviously, this story is an over-exaggeration,
Batman is
but you
shown
can
as
only
evil?
assume the missions
What?
people
No, things are depicted as good and evil, not necessarily Batman.
Yeah.
face is one not many people on Earth can handle. In the beginning of the book, Batman immediately questions the methods of the doctors, irritated that they are fine with patients like Joker being free to roam the asylum. But the doctors put Batman in his place. What does he know about treatment? After all, Batman's primary treatment is physical abuse. Going back to the game, in the third Scarecrow hallucination, the roles are reversed.
Game, so
Yeah,
We could pause right here,
Also,
guys, and call it a night. He went
I'm
through a
just going to say,
lot of
Batman's
effort.
primary treatment isn't physical violence. He's not treating the criminals he's stopping, by the way. Just telling you that.
that's just how he detains them.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a book. That's fine. Using a book for reference to explain something in more detail as inspiration is great, but it doesn't really affect the actual final product of what people experience. So, yes, context would help, but not necessarily that much. So, and I hate to make the argument of tertiary sources to influence what you're actually experiencing with something else. It's nice, but no, you want the primary source to tell the tale exactly the way it should be told without having a bias of any kind. Anyway, over 2 hours, 2 hours and 12 minutes, roughly. We're going to call it a night. I hope to do this tomorrow or Sunday if you guys are available, whoever wants to join.
What, do the rest of this tomorrow?
Yeah, 12 minutes should be no problem. Yeah, no problem at all.
Unless it's
So
again,
you want to
gets
save
so
the memes
much
for
worse.
that, or do you want to go look at the memes?
I would save the memes until we're done with everything. That would be great.
Which is when?
Tomorrow or
12
Sunday,
minutes.
depending.
Well, what if it gets so much worse? We stop literally every second of the video.
Well, then we have another 2-hour stream of 12 minutes of him
Awesome.
rambling about I don't even fucking know. I've literally lost track of it. I might go back and watch at the point where I had to go step away and help my family.
Yeah, it was 6 minutes after the new section where we just didn't. I didn't write anything down. We were just like, "What is he trying to say?" It took him.
I come back. He's rambling about something unrelated. I'm like, "What the fuck?"
It was.
I think
it
I
was
finally get it.
Yeah, 4 to 5 minutes of him describing modernism, postmodernism, metamodernism, and what that means, and to him at least. So.
And that, I think the minute you left, he was like talking about Arkham Knight, and then
So
it just descended into the weirdest stuff I've heard this week.
It was
And I'm
it was
just like,
interesting. In a different context, in a different manner, I think you would have something intelligent to
well,
say.
a different reality. He might be okay.
Yeah, no. Within this context, he's trying to set up something for us to wrap our brains around. I've never seen it take that long for 5 minutes to describe 3 different concepts, and not. He sort of contradicted himself with what metamodernism was, and what it's trying to saying they're all neutral tools, and you're like,
Why do I feel that like he'll go through all of this and then right at the end of his video he'll go, anyway, I'm an anarchist now.
Anyway, well, he does like
Anarchist, I think you mean nihilist.
you mentioned it. He does really like the Batman villain anarchy.
Oh. Fair enough. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. We're going to hold on to memes for tomorrow or the day after and finish off this video. I'm liking it. This is fun for me to cover because I don't cover guys like this too often. And he is a fan. He definitely is into Batman like you would not believe. He just has a very different take than the rest of us. So that's why I'm interested.
That's putting it mildly.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for your time. We'll talk to you real soon. Have yourself a great evening. Good night.
To be continued.
I need more whiskey.